So I am going to talk about the last individual assignment, the automation one. And I'm going to say up front that this is a bit vague to me. We have got different databases have different tools, and I'm not entirely familiar with Postgres yet. I've been working on it. Also, that it is complex and there's a lot of pieces to it. But the gist of it is that you want to automate as many things as possible so that you do not have to do them manually. So this says to create an automation plan and list the tools. All you have to do is like a document. It could be a Word document, Google Doc, or just type the text into the entry for the assignment. And I'll be pretty open with this, but it would be nice if you actually try to think about it for a bit. I'm going to go to Pages. I have just added a page on automation, but it's still not very good. There are a lot of tasks in a database to manage, and such as backups, replication, data checks, rebuilding indexes, refreshing material views, etc. And these can be put on a schedule and automated. So real quickly, I'm going to click here on the documentation. Again, it lists some of the things that can be done. Routine vacuuming. These are all vacuuming things. Recovering disk space, updating planner statistics, updating the visibility map, preventing transaction ID wraparound failures, and the auto vacuum daemon. These are all vacuuming, and this is all on automatically. These are the things that the vacuuming does, right? So the vacuum goes through and it recovers disk space, it updates the statistics, it does all of that. Routine indexing, and then managing the log files. So I'm not going to do all of these, but I am going to, we'll talk about a little bit of some of these. This talks a little bit about what vacuuming is. And then we're going to also look at the pgAgent, which we'll do something fairly simple with. The one thing with the vacuuming and the indexing, I'm just going to go back to Postgres. Here we are. And I've done some things here. I have a select name and a setting from PG settings where name equals auto vacuum. When I run that, it tells me that the auto vacuum is on. If I want the complete settings, it'll give me a list of other things. You can't change anything about the auto vac here. What you have to do is you have to go find the PostgreSQL.config. Let me just write that here. So you need to find PostgreSQL config, and that is where all of these settings are, along with a lot of other settings, and you would have to change them there. I would have us do that, except that it's different on most every machine, so you'd have to go look for it. So we're just going to note that that's what has to be done. Another thing it talked about is reindexing. So you can reindex an index, like we made event index last time. If I run that, it says it was successful, and what it does is it rebuilds the index manually. It forces the index to be redone. There's also, you can analyze things. This is, again, our database has no data much, so it analyzes person, it analyzes that it has 4 rows, and etc. There's very little to analyze there. You'd get more if there was more data there. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, now I am going to load the pgAgent. So I am going to go here, and what I want to do is go down to PostgreSQL. So I'm going way down into the P's, PostgreSQL, LMOP. And I have several versions here, but I'm going to do 12. and you'll see the application stack builder. You should see this anyway. It was there when we first installed, and then we ignored it. But we're going to use it now. So I'm going to call it up, and I'm going to say yes. And what I want here, first of all, I have to choose my server, and I'm going to do it on 12. Then I'm going to do next, and it's going to give me an application list. And under the add-ons, tools, and utilities, actually let me make a zoom of this. So I'm going to magnify. Okay. And I am going to zoom up. Okay. So we want the pgAgent. Right, so we check on that. And it's scheduling agent for Postgres, capable of running multi-step, batch, shell, and SQL tasks, and etc. So then I'm going to do next, and next, and then we will install it. So we're going to install. Okay, so we're setting up the pgAgent, and we will we're not going to allow it I don't know if I want the upgrade mode. Let me think about it for just a minute. I am going to skip the upgrade mode. So we're doing localhost Postgres. I want the password to be for the Postgres user, so the same one that you gave when you did the database. In my case, it's password1 p@ssw0rd1. The port server, hopefully that's the right server. All right. So we're doing Postgres. I'm going to try this again with the same PASW0RD1 p@ssw0rd1. Okay, so we're going to do this, and hopefully it will work. Okay, so I'm going to finish this, I'm going to finish this, I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to refresh the server. And when I look at the server now in the 12, there should be down at the bottom, there are pgAgent jobs. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. So for lots of reasons, I am going to only use the Postgres database here. If we look at all the databases and just closing that, Postgres is the system database, and it is what it's going to default to. And the reason I'm only going to do this is because it is basically permission issues. There are a lot of them, and they can vary a lot depending on your platform. So we're going to do something that it automatically has permission for, and we are going to just make it really simple. So I'm going to open a query tool here, and I'm going to create a table in Postgres. So I'm going to say create table, test table. And I'm just going to give it two fields. I'm going to give it, so I'll give it a test ID. We'll make that a sequence. We'll make it a primary key, although it probably doesn't matter. might hear my phone keeps going off, so I've been pausing in here. Hopefully the pauses aren't too disruptive. I'm going to finish the table first, though. I'm going to do test name, and this will be text. And I'm going to give it one other thing, which will be test date time. And it will be date time. Okay, so we're going to make that table. And then we are going to make a quick index. Create index. Didn't like that. Did I spell sequence? Oh, serial. This should be serial. Serial creates a sequence. Date time doesn't exist. Date stamp. I think it's a date stamp. Let's do, I think it's date. Oh, it's timestamp. There we go. I'm distracted and I shouldn't be. Okay. We're also going to create an index. And we're going to create it on test table. So create index. Let's call it test IDX on test table. And we're going to put inside here, we'll do it on test name. Okay, so we'll create a simple index there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a job that will put some data in that table and will refresh the test table. So we will do that. All right, so pgAgent jobs. So there aren't any there, but what we want to do is to create a job. And what we're going to do is we're going to call it insert into test table. The job is enabled. We will do the steps. And what we need to do is do a little plus here. And what we're going to do for the first step is we're going to say insert into, first we need to do table. So this is the name, insert into table. And I think I'm going to put underscores there. I'm not sure that it can have spaces. See this little thing with the pencil here? When I open that, it allows me, there's insert into table, it's enabled, it's an SQL job. The connection is local, the database is Postgres. I tried changing that and you can, but it doesn't always run because of permissions. So we're going to leave it on Postgres. We can add a comment if we want. I'm going to do code and I am going to say insert into test table. And what we want to insert into test table is the test name and the date or time. I'm just looking at this, so the test date time. Okay, and the values are test 1, although we may get more than one test 1 if we do this, and then current date time, or current timestamp rather. Okay, so that's our first step, and then I'm going to add one more step. So I'm going to add a step, and I'm going to call it refresh index. Okay, and we're going to So it has refresh index. I might add an H to it if it'll allow. And we're going to do everything is the same. I'm going to go to code, and I'm going to basically just do that refresh index. And we'll do that index that we just created, which is test IDX. All right, so we've created a job with 2 steps. I am going to go to schedules, and we will start this, and we'll have a true. We need to give it a name, test schedule. Well, actually, test job looks good. We do this, and it gives me a start time, and I can go today, right? And an end. We could also do today, but let's do 13:20 is right now. Let's run this at 13:25. All right. If you want to repeat it, you can do what months, days, weeks. You know, you can set that. I'm not going to right now, but well, actually, let's do. So today is Wednesday, and then we could do. Let's do Thursday as well. If we want the month days, today is the 9th and the 10th. And then if we want to select the months, I'm just going to do July. I'm going to save this, and we'll see if it runs. So we have that job. We have a job, and if you look down here, you can see it. It has schedules and steps. We will look at it in a moment to see if those jobs ran. So we have 3 minutes, and I'm going to pause it, and we'll come back here. Okay, the time has passed. I paused it so you didn't have to watch it, although the pauses might make this recording a bit jumpy. I'm not sure. I'm going to, having clicked on this, I'm going to look at properties, and it shows that insert test table was enabled. The last result was a fail, I think, the next run, but it did run. Why did it fail? Let's see if it did anything to the let's see if there's anything in the database. So I'm going to do a select star from test table. I know the caps in that are all weird, but it should work. Oh, it did. It ran it several times, so that worked. I wonder why it must have failed on the index. So it ran that. They're all test ones, a test date, it ran. That's good. Okay, so our schedule worked, all of that worked. Now, if you want to know why there was an F there, because I'm pretty sure F is for failure. So let's do this again and look at properties. The last result is a fail. It had to have failed on the index. So to find why it failed, you have to go look at the logs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to computer management. All right, and I may zoom on this. doesn't want to zoom for some reason. I'm going to close it and open it again. Okay, so we got it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to look at Event Viewer, and we're going to look at Applications and Services. Is there a log there? I think so. Let's look at Windows Logs. Windows Logs application. Let's see if it takes it a moment to populate. Hopefully not too long. Okay, so now it's coming up. We're not interested in MySQL errors. We are interested in Postgres. Is it not logging? Maybe I don't have it logging up. Weird. Alright, but this is where you would find it. Normally it logs its things and you can find them here. MySQL seems to be throwing lots of errors, but I don't see a Postgres error. And that's what it should be. It should be a Postgres error. System. Forwarded events. Nothing there. Setup. Security application. It should be in the application log. Alright, so never mind, but that is where you would find what the error was. Postgres logs. Okay, so I'm going to close the over thing here. Schedules, it has that. Steps, it talks about those, but the job did run, and we did insert into that table. So I'm going to let that be good for now, and we're going to close this out and close the video. So we didn't do a lot, but I just wanted to show you that this agent is something you can use to schedule a lot of different events. It could take some while to troubleshoot it. And if we did we worked out the security things, we could do it for all of the different databases, and you could do a whole bunch of different kinds of activities, including backups. They're a little bit more complicated and they're different on every system, so we would have to set that up. Anyway, this is my somewhat incoherent video on